Okay, so we've got our IDE, our first IDE installed on the machine, and now we're going to put the extensions on. And if you don't know what I mean by this, these are things that we can add to the IDE, because the IDE is just effectively a text editor. But there's things that you can add to it to make life easier as you program, so that it will bring up what's called IntelliSense to help you speed up your process of coding and help you make sense of the code that's on the screen, make it more human readable. So I'm going to show you my recommended extensions now. Okay, so I'm going to just load up Visual Studio Code again. So this is just a blank Visual Studio Code at the moment, and you've got some options here where you can change the theme of it. I'm just going to leave it on this standard one, dark. I'll come and go through these different options that we've got on here in a later video. But the first thing that we'll do is go to the extensions tab here. The first one that we're going to install is called Pear. And this one's just a must-have because all it does is it makes your code look pretty for you. So it'll do all the indentations for you automatically. So Pretty is a must-have. The next one that I'm going to install on here is called Pear Colorizer. So there's 1 and 2. I'm going to go to 2 and just install this. This again is a must-have. It just colors your brackets for you. So when we come around to moving on to JavaScript, it's just going to be a lifesaver to be able to track which brackets relate to each other. So that's the next extension. The next one after this is going to be Indent Rainbow. And just does what it says on the tin. So your indents are coloured for you, so that you can work out which bits are related by moving your mouse in between them. So that's another key one to have. The next one that we're going to install is Live Server. So if we're not working with a framework like React or Angular, we're going to need Live Server to be able to look at our web pages without having to manually open a file each time, so that when we hit save, we can instantly see the changes of what the web page will look like. So this is for whilst we're just working with plain old HTML, CSS and vanilla JavaScript. So that's Live Server. The next one that I'm going to install is JavaScript snippets. So snippets are always, so here we go, ES6. I'm going to install this. So this again will just help us. It's just got some pre-formatted things that you use all the time, or pre-coded shortcuts that you use all the time in coding. So JavaScript. So here, like CLG, I use it all the time to get a console log up. So really important snippet, that one. The next one that I'm going to install is Angular. So if you're not intending to do any Angular frameworks, then you don't need these ones. But I need the Angular version 12 snippets to be able to help me write in Angular, so make it easier. And then also I want this language service one here. It will just make things easier for me whilst I'm writing in Angular. So we'll come back to that in later videos. And whilst we're on the framework front, we might as well install the one for React as well. So there's one here for React. And again, just like the JavaScript one, just makes life super quick for building your components in React. So there's like all these shortcuts here that will, RCE will create you this React component, class-based component. So it just saves you a ton of work, really useful for having. really useful to have. The next one I'm going to install is .env. So now I think I need to put .env like that. This one here. So I'm just going to stop it. This one's only really relevant if we're working with like backends and we want authentication on it. So if you're not going to do full stack, if you're just going to do front end development, then you don't need that one. Another one that I'm going to install is called Json2 Typescript. Again, this is more to do with Angular, and because I'm going to be working with JSON data that's brought from the back end, and I want to put interfaces on it in TypeScript to control the content of the data that's received. I know that will probably make zero sense at this point in time, but again, if you don't understand what I'm saying, then don't install that extension. It's probably just not needed. And then the very last one that I'm going to install is Mongodb, because I work with Mongodb databases, and I shall come back to this one later. So I'm going to install it now. Again, probably something that you're not going to need at this time. If we go back to our extensions, let's just get rid of that, and we can have a look at what I've got now. So the main ones that you would need are this JavaScript, is the Indent Rainbow, the bracket Colorizer, the JavaScript one, and the live server and Prettier. If you've got Prettier, live server, JavaScript, Indent Rainbow, and bracket Colorizer, then you're all good. You can build your first website with that. So there are all the extensions. Settings. If we just type save, format on save, we want that ticked so that when we save, it will do the formatting for us, sort of like Prettier and things like that. And I think that's the only thing that I need to change in the settings for now. You can do quotations, double quotes or single quotes. So I always want single quotes. So I change that to single quotes in the settings. So it will just automatically default to single quotes instead of double quotes around all your attributes and everything for you. And then the other thing that you might want is indent size of 4. Because my files get quite big over time, I reduce that to 2, else it's like indenting quite a long way and you just find yourself scrolling a lot. So I'm just going to indent to 2. So that's that done. So that should have saved all that. Yeah, so that's it. All done now.